As before, we'll take the questions in a group at the end, just before the coffee break. So I'd like to invite Jim Leahy to join us. Jim has come in from Abbey Ballyteven, which is in County Sligo. Actually, sorry, I was told Sligo town to be very specific. And he's going to chat to us about how to engage and motivate a young crew on the journey to energy management.
Evening, everyone. Just hope the full backline down there at the back can hear me. One more. So my talk is about 50,001 and our journey in implementing it. And first I'll give you a brief overview of the site, a product overview, and then we'll get into the 50,001 itself. The site is in existence since 1974, and AbbVie separated from Abbott in 1st of January 2013. So that's just a bit of history. This is a quick look at what the place looks like. There's a huge investment has gone into the place in the last 3 years, and we've basically transformed an old building into a new facility. This reflects basically what's going on inside. The activity over the last 3 years has been intense. I mean, it's a startup situation. We're told that we have 125 years of history, but with that goes a lot of legacy issues. The key things that I want to talk to you about is last year in June we got 14,001 and 18,001, and then in October we got 50,001, and by June of this year we're going to have 55,001. The products. The primary product that we have is a product called Humira. It's one of the largest selling drugs on the market, and it's aimed at chronic illnesses like colitis, rheumatoid arthritis, and Crohn's disease. And this unit here is we actually make. It's the pen for auto-injecting the drug. The thing about this is since it's a biologic, this is going into your flesh, and it takes quite an amount of force to drive that liquid into you. It takes something like 10 seconds. So a huge amount of investment has gone into making this a much better experience for the patient, because it does hurt, and in order to avoid the pain you have to do this twice a month. This is breaks down into a variety of injection molded components. Each one of these is done in a cell. The cell costs about €1 million to set up, and we've got 13 of those cells at this stage. And there's a series of robots, automatic measurement and detection. Everything is automated to a very fine degree. The second product that we're involved in is a product called Duopa in the States, or Duodopa here in Europe. And this is aimed at people who have final stage Parkinson's. The way this operates, for the first few months you get a nasal tube. They determine what the right mix is, and then after a few months they insert it into you here, and there's a pump connected up. So the impact of this drug is that if you switch it off after 20 minutes, severe tremors come back. Switch it back on, and then the tremors disappear after another 20 minutes. It's a dramatic change. We have video evidence of people actually going on the drug and then going back cycling. The reason I give you this is what motivates us. 50,001, this is what it's all about. This sits in reception. Everyone come in, and we're immensely proud of having achieved it. What is it? It's basically a system to make sure that we continually drive for energy performance. It's all the old traditional stuff: boilers, pumps, compressors, chillers, vacuum pumps, and obviously the production equipment. So the steps. First step, you need management responsibility. So we got management involved, and we set up a very strong team. And the next thing then you need, when you go through the process, is you need an energy policy. Basically, this is your mission statement. What is it all about? That's followed on. Then you need to plan. So the essence of a good plan is, so you need an excellent plan. And then in order for that to work, you need to execute it to perfection. And with that then comes a brilliant set of results that you'll see afterwards that I really didn't expect that we'd get in such a short time. Ongoing, you're checking. Like the previous speaker said, you're monitoring, measuring, and doing an analysis. You look at the anomalies, you make changes, and then you put in corrective actions. You need to do ongoing auditing. and then a management review. Now, the management reviews with us are on a par with the quality review. So every quarter we sit down, we have our EHS ones based on 14,001 and 18,001, and then we have 50,001, each taking 45 minutes, and then we go into the quality one. The amazing thing about the 50,001 is you get huge engagement from everyone at the meeting, and this is all senior management actively throwing out ideas. Now, some of them, as you know, you have to water down because their enthusiasm isn't matched with reality, but one of the ideas that we got from the last meeting was that there was a stream flowing on the side, and can we use the stream as processed water? So that took about 2 months to get him to back off of that idea. So we set up a team. Now, Joe is our site director. This actually should be a pyramid upside down, because all he does at the meeting is he just sits there, shows that he's involved, but he doesn't actually engage in putting suggestions forward. He's just the grease that makes everything run. And we have a right mix of experience with some very young raw recruits that are full of enthusiasm and want to prove themselves, and some very experienced people who have huge information, and the mix has been something that has been a pleasure to watch. So the next stage then was we needed to invigorate the whole process and get engagement. So we ran an awareness program. The first thing we did was we decided we need to brand it. So the green thing is our logo. We ran a company-wide competition. We were overrun with proposals, and then we had to sit down and we selected this one, and everyone got, I don't have it with me, but everyone got a little badge that they stick on their ID card. So stage 2 of that then was we organised an energy day. So these were ideas that came from the energy team themselves. They wanted to make it as easy as possible to get this program running. So the energy day was designed around the home. So it was all about solar panels, central heating systems, LED lights, and everyone was enthused with the results. And all the suppliers that we had little giveaways, vouchers and everything like that. So the key thing then was the local Volkswagen garage brought in their e-car. Now, this was an amazing success because the salesman was there. I think he was a nervous wreck before he was finished, because everyone just wanted to climb through these things, see what was the difference between it and a petrol or a diesel. And then the ideas started to flow. So the brilliant thing about this, only 27% of the energy ideas came from the team itself. The other 73% came from the employees. And we have a computer system where it's called eAchieve. Anyone that has an idea, they log the idea up on the system. We guarantee everyone that if they put an idea up, that we're going to come back to them, we're going to answer them. If it can't be done, we're going to explain in depth why it can't. And then if it can, we're going to show them how much it costs, how long it's going to take, and we're going to involve them the whole way through in the process. Some of the ideas that came out of it: one, very simple LED lights over doors. The other was the timers on kitchen boilers and simple things like that. The big one was, like I said earlier, the site's there in Sligo since 1974. It's been lighting up half the town free of charge for everyone. And one of the young engineers was in working late last night, one night, and just came in the following morning and said, why do we have the lights on during the night? We're on 24-hour shift, everyone's indoors. So we looked at it and we put in a program where we put in LED lighting throughout the whole site. We had the PIRs, and then we had photosensors. So basically the lights can only come on when it's dark, but they'll only come on when they're activated by the photosensor. So this was great. Everything seemed to be winning, and the next thing, there was uproar from the security team, because their question was, well, if the lights are off, how do we know if we have intruders at night? So it didn't take long to explain to them that if there's an intruder, they're going to switch all the lights on. It's going to make their jobs easier. So the journey itself, it's a standard journey. We engaged a consultant through our project manager. We started in June. We did a very in-depth gap analysis. We laid out a plan. We had our first stage audit in September, and then in October we got certification without any recommendations. Now, the reason is we set out everything we do, we want to do it to perfection, and there's no time in my book for being second best. No one remembers who came second best. It's very difficult even to remember who won who won the last All-Ireland, but that's the way it goes. You have to be the best at everything you do nowadays. So we came through and we got a clean sheet, which was a tremendous achievement and a great source of pride for us. During the summer we put in 58 physical measuring points. So we had some, I went there 2 years ago, we had some meters within an old building. They were all in the wrong place as usual, and they're absolutely useless to us. So we set out to put in a new measuring system. And this is the summary chart for the pie chart. So if you look at this, chilled water accounts for 45% of our electrical usage. HVAC, as you'd expect, about 20%, and compressed air about 15%. Now on the chilled, we presented this then at one of our all-employee meetings, and all the employees got engaged questioning why are we using so much energy in these areas. The crazy thing, and it's not something that I'm really proud of mentioning, but the crazy thing was we're required to supply chilled water at 5 degrees to the manufacturing process. And one of the young engineers said, that's daft, because the first thing we do is we heat it up to 10. So these are things, so there's a project to go and investigate that this year. So there's a load of things like this that the metering gives you a chance to fix. Metrics. Nowadays the world is run with metrics and it's run with performance charts, but here you'll see the dips in this. They're the weekends when the machine shut off. So again, we circulated this to all the employees after a month of running, and they came back and the competition between them was intense. They wanted to know why their machine, if it switched off, was using electricity. And we discovered simple things like the monitors were connected to a different power source, so that when the machine itself the cell was switched off, they were still running. Now they estimated that saved €900 a year. In terms of savings, it's immaterial. But in terms of engagement and involvement from the employees and the buzz that they got from the whole thing was immense, and that's what the real win was. And then this, from a, say, maximum demand point of view, there's the weekend for the same period, very little happening, and then at 8 o'clock, miraculously, there's a huge spike in electricity demand. That's because we turn all the machines on at the one time. So now we're looking at a program where we can stage them, because if you look at the graphs there, they're all perfectly matching one another. All the cells are more or less identical. So this means that we can go and reduce our maximum demand or avoid increases, because we've 13 cells at the moment. By the end of next year, that'll be up at 28. So our energy consumption is going to rise dramatically in that period. So the savings so far. We completed a new clean room and commissioned it, and like all good engineers, when you get it up and running, you really don't want to turn it off. But then there's a 6-month period where all the equipment is put in, and traditionally it was put into a fully functioning clean room. And then Sinead just asked, why do we do that? Why don't we just turn off the air handling units while they're putting in the equipment, because it's not a clean environment? So we did that, and the graphs prove that we saved €12,000 per month for 8 months while they were installing the equipment. So that's another nonsensical, traditional approach that we had taken to doing business. And by these young people quizzing everything that they were doing, we're making savings. Now, it's torture to turn a clean room back on, but the engagement we're getting is brilliant, because it was her idea, she ran with it, and she delivered it. So maximum demand. The traditional way of worrying about your maximum demand is you take the ESB bills, you see how much energy you're using, the back of a cigarette package, you work out how much you can do without, and then you go and you reduce it. So we saved €13,000. But what I want to point out to you is, you see the PSO level. Because we reduced the maximum demand by that small amount, our PSO level is going down by €41,000 this year. So you have to watch everything in order to capture your savings. Sorry? 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Okay, water. Just very quickly, what we did with water was we have 41-year-old pipework that was porous, replaced all the pipework, sank a well, and we're going to save, we estimated we'd save €110,000. And the figures that came in on Monday on the metering, that's going to be more like 140,000. And it's all just simple, basic pipework and watching all the small things. energy action. So these are the programs that are coming in. We're going to finalise the LED lighting program. The site will be 100% lit with LED lighting by the end of the year. And all the corridors go dark as well, with PIRs everywhere. The chill water, we're looking at the possibilities of taking water in from the mains, or sorry, from the well we sank, rather than putting it through the chillers, because it comes in roughly at 9 degrees. We have 40-year-old air handling units, something like 28 of them. We've 6 replaced. There's another one to replace this year. We're putting in more metering because, like the previous speaker, I'm convinced it's the way to go. Heat pump. So we put a new engineer in looking after the maintenance. We had a heat pump that, well, I wasn't, and you know, I knew we were saving money. So they went in and they spent 3 months rebuilding it. And they've got they estimated they were going to get a 20% energy improvement on this heat pump. The figures, but weather conditions, we haven't taken that into it yet, but on Monday when the results came in, our gas bill dropped by 50% in the last 2 weeks. And then there's the traditional chasing leaks around the place. So, where next? Okay, and why? 55,001. The reason I want 55,001 is because it's linked to 50,001. It takes all your maintenance systems. It means you can't get out from under doing everything properly, and your maintenance systems has to have integrity. And that's going to generate more savings, because if you're running a very finely tuned system, it's going to show up. And that's it. Thank you.